Hey everyone, welcome to a very special episode of In the Know with RV Pro. We're here with Congresswoman Jackie Walorski, a representative of Indiana and Hoosiers everywhere. Congresswoman Walorski, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be a part of doing something by Skype. I very much appreciate you reaching out on behalf of the RV industry. And, I can tell you that, it's the number one industry, obviously, that, that we fight for, that we, go after and try to be proactive with issues that, are going to impact the entity and the companies. So, as you know, our district, the Indiana 2nd District, is one of the largest manufacturers in the country now. And it's because of all the things that we make, the RVs, the boats, trailers, all those. And so, 15, 20,000 jobs is a really big deal. And I take it really, really seriously and very passionate about making sure that we protect these industries.
To segue right into that, President Trump recently signed off on a 25% tariff on steel imports and 10% on aluminum. As part of the Congressional RV Caucus, have you spoken with any manufacturers since it was signed?
We have. We've been all over this deal. Yeah. I got very visible and very vocal when the president became visible and vocal on this issue as well. We really pressured the White House and the administration to let us be in on this conversation. So I had an opportunity 2 or 3 times face to face to talk to the president, and he was very receptive. I totally get what he's doing with tariffs. I don't have an argument per se with what he's doing with the overall trade war going on, but the issue was, I was asking him, let's just be commonsensical about this. Let's not hurt jobs and, current industry as we try to go after bad players. Let's not hurt the good players that have had to build, these large places like the RV companies, despite all the, bad players and those things. But, what was happening in our industry, as was that, they couldn't get their orders filled necessarily in this country. And even at the thought of tariffs, some of these aluminum companies and steel companies started raising their rates just because they knew they could. Well, that, number one, that's not fair. And when you have aluminum companies that wouldn't build and produce the product domestically that the RV and boating and trailer companies needed, and just simply wouldn't make it to the spec that they wanted, that's not fair either. So I did say to the president, what are our folks supposed to do? They had to go find a nation. They had to go find somebody that would actually sell them what they needed to produce this industry in our country, this an incredible industry as the RV industry is. So, so I'm grateful to be able to, to be able to take the president on. I'm also grateful to see that he listened. And there are ways right now, and we're working at tweaking those right now so that if you can't get a domestic product, a raw material to produce your product, then you ought to be able to get away with the government would issue. We're working on a nuance with that right now, and I can talk about that a little later.
Yeah, well, and you talk about tweaking. What kind of nuance are you referring to?
So, we just found out yesterday we just, I made the plea to my colleagues on the Ways and Means Committee. There's a nuance that was probably unintentional that came out as one of these rules under Chairman Ross's direction now with the Commerce Committee. And it basically said that, so if you're in the RV industry, you can apply to the government for a waiver, to go out and be able to find your raw materials someplace else other than this country if it's not made here. But as you apply for that waiver, you're going to be charged that same tariff whether you apply for the waiver or not, and they're going to keep your money as the rule is written now and not give it back to you when your waiver is granted. Well, how crazy is that? That money needs to be retroactive. You're right back to the company that is trying to get this product made. So we have a letter that 18 people signed on to yesterday. We have a meeting next Thursday with Chairman Ross. And I am actively asking him to deal with this issue administratively before it ever even comes to the meeting next week. We want that fixed. It's the fair thing to do. Otherwise, we're going to impede success, and I'm not going to stand for that.
Right. Is there a benefit to the tariff that was signed? I mean, definitely the steel workers will benefit from this. What kind of other positive things does it bring?
Well, I think when you look at the president's perspective of a lot of unfair trade practices right now, and
Right.
he's looking at it that you've got the steel industry, some of these mothball companies, same thing with aluminum. I get where he's coming from. I am not
Yeah.
against putting steel workers and bringing steel back online and American made, American ingenuity. I'm not against any of that. I give him all of
Yeah.
that. But when you're representing the end users, which is my home, my backyard, and the folks I represent, both the CEOs and the workers in an incredible industry, only known for the RV capital of the world, only in Elkhart,
Yeah.
Indiana, right? So I'm just asking him to be fair about the
Yeah.
end user. There's producers and there's users. We have both, right? But our end users make up really a market that is unlike any place in this country, and a product that really reflects the goodness and the good things from tax reform, of
Absolutely.
having
Yeah.
consumer confidence, the strongest in 17 years. That's why, we have an industry where people are turning and saying, I'm going to go buy my first RV, or I'm going to go buy my 10th RV, or I'm going to go look at boats and trailers because, my family, we want to enjoy a quality of life that we have now that we didn't have 5 years ago. And
Yeah.
so, I think when you look at overall, what are we doing in our industry, in the RV industry? We are literally on a momentous surge that
Right.
really is a credit to the industry, a credit to the workers, but I think a huge credit to the fact that our country is moving on economically, and we're one of the greatest benefactors right there in the state of Indiana. And it's a quality of life product for the American people.